This video will be for the basic constructions section. So with our basic constructions, we're trying our best to approximate what would happen if you were using only a straight edge, which is different from a ruler. A ruler has markings for like the inches or centimeters. A straight edge is just a straight piece of wood or something to make a straight line, but not to measure it. And a compass. So we have to use this drawing pad tool within the program to be able to approximate having a straight edge and a compass. So it'll go through and it'll show first how you go about doing the construction, and then it'll just list on the next page all the steps for doing the construction yourself. So this particular construction is how to construct a congruent segment. So we start with segment AB, and we want to make a segment that's the same length on this ray. Right now we know where the ray starts, but we need to know where do we stop this so that it's the same length as AB without measuring. We don't have a ruler. All we have is our straight edge and our compass. So we need to follow the instructions. Open the compass length to AB. So we need to get out our compass. We're going to move it so that the anchor is on A, and we're going to open the pencil up over to B. So we've opened the compass to that length. We've made it the same size without changing the settings, so we don't want to make it any smaller or bigger. We're going to place the compass down here. So we're going to move that anchor down to C. So we've placed it on the endpoint of the ray. Now we're going to draw an arc using the compass. So now we're going to take our compass and draw a little arc on this line. So that measured the same distance. The compass is actually our measuring tool instead of a ruler, because we can open it to the size we want and leave it on that size. So now we want to plot and label point D. So using this tool, I'm going to put the compass away. We don't need it anymore. To plot the point, we need to select the line. And when we do that, it should highlight in blue. We need to select the arc we've drawn. So they should both be highlighted in blue. If you mess up and you can't get them both to select at first, you can just click anywhere to deselect everything and try again. So I want to select the line and the arc. Oh, see, I messed up that time. It can be a little bit picky. You have to click exactly on the arc itself. Now you'll see some options popped up. We want to pick the intersect option, and it'll draw point D. And then you can check to see if what you did matches by hitting evaluate. We see, oh, we have about the same thing. My arc was a little longer, but that's fine. So now we can move on to this next page, and we can check and see, did this work out correctly? Is this CD the same length as AB? Congruent segments are the same length. So to do that, we want to check the length. Again, we're going to need to select, so we have the arrow highlighted. We're going to click on C, click on D, make sure they're both blue, and again we have some options pop up. We want to check the distance, and it'll pop up the distance. Now we have to deselect, so click off of them, and we want to click A and B. Check that distance, and they were the same length, so those two segments were congruent. So now we can move on to the next construction. So this construction is about making a congruent angle. We want to draw a line going up and to the right so that it's the same angle as angle A. It's open the same amount. So we follow the instructions again. Place the compass on point A. So we take out the compass, we move the anchor to point A, open the compass and draw an arc that intersects both sides of the angle. So we're going to open the compass a little wider And we want to draw our arc so it hits the top and the bottom line. Okay, so it intersected both. Plot and label the points of intersection C and D. So we need to get rid of the compass for now. We need to do some highlighting. We want to select the line and the arc. And again, if it accidentally deselects, just try again until you have both of them blue. And then we can do the intersection. That gave us C. Now we click off and do this again. We want the top line and the arc. That'll give us D. So we've labeled both points, C and D. And without changing the compass setting, put the compass on the endpoint of the ray. So we need the compass back out. It will be the same setting as you had before. So we put it on B. And we want to draw about the same size arc, maybe a little bigger to make sure we can draw our line going up and meet it. So we drew our arc, plot the label and the point that intersect. Plot and label its point of intersection on the ray as E. So again, I'm going to get rid of the compass for now. I'm going to select the line and the arc. And label that E using the intersection tool. On the original angle, open the compass to the length CD. So this time we want to go from C up to D. So if you need to, oh, I did not want to draw. That was an accident. So if you mess something up, you can hit the undo button. I should have just grabbed the pencil, not the top, because we just want to make it so the pencil is on D. So the anchor's on C, the pencil's on D. Now it's open to the length CD. So now on the ray, place the compass on the point of intersection E. So we're going to move the anchor to E. And then we want to draw a small arc intersecting the first arc. Now we would draw an arc that intersects. We want to plot and label that point. So we need to select the two arcs. And I selected a point on accident, so I'm going to just click off. The smaller arc can be hard to get selected. So we've labeled that point F. And now we can draw a ray from point B through F. So we select B, we select F, and we can hit the ray tool. So now these two angles are the same size. Again, you can hit evaluate to check. And then we can move on to the next page where we'll actually measure the angle to see if it's the same. So we want to measure angle RST, which means we have to select R first, then S, then T. You have to select them in that order. So I select R, then S, then T. And you'll see this tool pop up, angle. It'll measure the angle for you. Then we do X, Y, and Z. You have to scroll down a little bit so you can see the angle when it pops up. So X, oh, and I've got to deselect, so click off onto the white space. So X, Y, and Z. And we select the angle tool. So this one was incorrect. So this was not what we drew. They were just giving an example saying, some student did this. Did they do it correctly? Well, if one was 45 and one was 30, those were not the same. So they did not do their construction correctly. So the next construction is to construct a perpendicular bisector. So first it says to place the compass on point A. So we get out our compass, move the anchor to point A. Make sure the opening of the compass is greater than half the length of AB. So about half is here. We just want to make sure that we are definitely more than half. That's definitely more than half. Draw an arc. So we're going to draw an arc. Using the same compass setting, place the compass on point B. So we go over to point B. We draw another arc, so we don't change the pencil size. So this one, we're going to have to kind of come back this way to draw our other arc. Plot and label the points of intersection of the two arcs as C and D. So we select both arcs and hit the intersect button, and it pops up our C and our D. And draw a line through the points of intersection. So we deselect the arcs and select point C and select point D, and we draw a line. Label the midpoint E. So the midpoint would be this point where the line we drew intersects the segment. So we select the segment, maybe. And the line. Select intersection, and that gives us point midpoint E. So we can check our work again. Looks about the same. And then we can go to the next page to check and see if we have the links correct. So since E should be the midpoint, A to E should be the same length as E to B. So we select, I'm going to have to get this open first, and then we select A, select E, and find the length. And then we're going to check E to B, so we select E and select B, and check the length again. So this is done correctly. Okay, so last construction for the section. Given angle A, we want to draw the bisector, so a line that would cut this angle in half. So we place the compass on point A. It's about there when we brought it up. And draw an arc that intersects both sides. I'm going to open it a little bit so it's easier to see our arc. Okay. Plot and label the intersection points B and C, so we have to select the side of the angle and the arc. And then do that again, lower side of the angle and the arc. Without changing the compass setting, place the compass on one of the points of intersection and draw a small arc inside the angle. So we're going to take this and put it on C. We didn't change the pencil, we just moved it, and we're going to draw a small arc inside. We move it to the other point, B, and do the same thing. And notice they cross. So now we want to label this point as point D where they cross. Making sure we can select both. And then we can draw a line from A through D. In fact, we're going to draw a ray, not a line. So now these two sides should be the same. Angle BAD should be the same length as CAD. You can check that your construction looks correct, and you can go to the next page to measure and check that the angles are the same. So they also have you check the length of the entire angle because the two added together should equal the entire angle. So we're going to select BAC, that's the entire angle, and measure it, 68 degrees. So then we select DAB, it's 34, and DAC, oops, I gotta do that again, also 34. So the two small angles were both 34, and they add up to 68, so to the entire thing. So this has been done correctly. So with all of the constructions, you can also set up an equation to solve for a variable. So with the one construction where we constructed a congruent segment, they can give you some variables that go with each. And you can set up an equation. So if these two things are supposed to be congruent, when things are congruent, they're equal. So you can set the two pieces equal to each other. 2x plus 1 equals 3x minus 7. And now you can solve this. So we want to get the two variables to the same side, so we would want to minus 2x. Since it's a positive 2x, there's that invisible plus sign in front. If there's no sign written, we know it's a plus. So we minus 2x, and what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. There is a minus 2x to the left of the equal sign. We have to minus 2x on the right. And 3x is its like term, so we line it up with the 3x. So we have 1 equals 3x minus 2x is 1x. Now we do the opposite of subtracting 7. The opposite of that is adding 7. So we get 8 equals 1x. And then we can divide both sides by 1. 8 divided by 1 is just 8. So we get x equals 8. So if they ask for the value of x, we're done. They could ask for the length of the segment. If they ask for the length of the segment, we plug it back in. We can choose either since they're congruent, since they're the same, it doesn't matter which one we plug it into. So like 2x plus 1. Instead of using an x, we're going to replace it with an 8. So 2 times 8 plus 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So the length of the line is 17. The value of x is 8. Now, since all the constructions we did are congruent constructions, all of them are going to have this same setup. We had congruent segments. We had congruent angles. So if they labeled this 2x minus 1 and this 3x, or sorry, 2x plus 1, 3x minus 7, we'd do the exact same thing. We'd set them equal to each other because those two angles are supposed to be congruent. Same thing with the perpendicular bisector. On the perpendicular bisector, the two sides were supposed to be congruent. Sorry, not the best picture, but this left side is supposed to be congruent to the right side. So if they labeled 2x plus 1, 3x minus 7, and it could be any expression, I'm just showing that these could all have been the same and they're set up the same way because they're all congruent. Those two sides were congruent, so we set them equal to each other. Or the last one was the angle bisector. We cut the angle in half. They would label the two sides of the angle, and you would set them equal to each other and solve for x, or if they wanted the length, you'd plug back in. So that concludes our discussion on basic constructions.